Sell my daughter!
They said he was worth 3 men in the fields. Master Richard Whitmore said it at auction, said it to visitors, said it while counting money. Solomon Matthews stood 7 feet and 7 inches tall, shoulders wide as a doorframe, hands that could palm a man's head like an apple. Worth 3 men, Whitmore bragged. Maybe 4. He never said Solomon was a man at all. Charleston, South Carolina, March 1853. Solomon had been Whitmore's property for 13 years. Bought at 15 when his first owner decided a boy that size was unnatural, maybe touched by the devil. Whitmore saw profit instead. 25 cents a head to see the giant of South Carolina at county fairs. Line up, white folks. See God's mistake. 8 feet tall. Exaggeration sold better than truth. Watch him lift barrels. Watch him duck through doorways built for humans. Solomon learned to make himself small. Curved his spine, dropped his shoulders, kept his eyes down. Spoke soft. Moved careful. Made himself invisible despite being impossible to miss. For 13 years, he was the gentle giant, the safe monster, the one that knew his place. Until the day they took Ruth. She was 8 years old. Skinny arms, gap-toothed smile, laugh that sounded like wind chimes. Solomon's daughter, his first. When Whitmore announced the sale, that Mississippi planter offered $200, Saul. That's good money for a pickaninny that age. Solomon did something he'd never done. He begged. Got on his knees in the dirt outside Whitmore's office. On his knees, he stood eye level with Whitmore on the porch. Please, master, please, I'll work harder, I'll do anything. Don't sell my baby girl. Whitmore sipped whiskey, studied Solomon like a curious insect. You know what your problem is, Soul? You forget what you are. You ain't her daddy. You're my property. She's my property. I can sell my property whenever I damn well please. He smiled. Hell, maybe I'll sell Grace next month. Your boy Samuel, too. Might fetch a good price for that one, strong like his daddy. Something cracked inside Solomon's chest. Not broke, cracked. Like ice on a pond that's been frozen 28 winters, holding weight that shouldn't be held. And now, finally, something too heavy stepped on. He stood up, fully up, spine straight, shoulders back, all 7 feet 7 inches of him rising like a mountain deciding to walk. The porch boards creaked. Whitmore's smile vanished. Get back to work, Whitmore said, voice thin. Solomon walked away, but he didn't curve his spine, didn't drop his shoulders. He walked tall for the first time since he was 15 years old, and every enslaved person who saw him stop and stare knew something had changed. You could see it in how he moved, how he held his head. The giant had woken up. Solomon wasn't stupid. Anger without plan was just suicide with extra steps. He'd seen men run, seen them brought back in chains, or not brought back at all, just stories about bodies in swamps and trees bearing strange fruit. Running alone, he might make it. Big as he was, strong as he was, he could probably fight through anyone who tried to stop him. But Grace was here. Samuel, age 6. Little Margaret, age 4. 20 others he'd known for years, children born in quarters next to his, old folks who'd raised him when his own mother was sold away. He couldn't leave them. Wouldn't. So Solomon started planning. And he had advantages nobody expected from a man they called simple. For 13 years, Whitmore had dragged Solomon to county fairs, markets, even to Savannah twice. Show the giant. Make money. Solomon stood still while white folks poked him, measured him against barn doors, made their children stand next to him for the thrill. He smiled gentle, spoke soft, played the role. But his eyes worked fine. His memory worked better. He memorized roads, directions, which towns had free black communities, which had Quakers who might help. At a fair in Georgetown, a Quaker woman in a gray dress met his eyes for just a second too long, and Solomon understood. 2 months later, at another fair, he saw her again. This time, when Whitmore wasn't looking, she dropped a handkerchief. Solomon picked it up. Inside, coordinates, a name, friend. He memorized everything, burned the handkerchief. April through July, Solomon worked like always. Gentle giant, safe monster. But in the quarters at night, he talked quiet with Grace, with old Moses who knew the swamps, with young Thomas who could run fast, with Big Mary who was stronger than most men. 23 people total, counting children. Too many, Thomas said. Way too many. Then we leave nobody behind, Solomon said. Or we don't go. They chose a date, July 17th. Whitmore was throwing a party, half of Charleston's plantation owners coming to drink and brag. Guards would be drunk. Dogs would be fed heavy to keep them quiet during festivities. Moon would be dark. Solomon spent those months getting ready in other ways too. He stopped curving his spine during work, stood straight, tested what his body could do when he wasn't trying to disappear, lifted loads that made overseers shake their heads. That boy getting uppity, one said. Getting confident, said another. They didn't stop him. Useful property was useful. He also watched Henry Briggs. Briggs was Whitmore's head overseer. Mean, smart, and worse, he didn't drink much. While other overseers got drunk during parties, Briggs stayed sharp. He was the danger, the one who'd noticed too fast, chased too hard. Solomon saw how Briggs walked, how he moved, where he kept his pistol. Memorized it like he'd memorized roads. You planning to kill him? Grace asked one night, voice barely a whisper. Solomon was quiet a long time. Planning to do whatever keeps you and our babies safe. That ain't an answer, Sol. I know. July 17th, 1853, 9 o'clock at night, music and laughter pouring from the big house. Solomon moved through the quarters, tapping shoulders. One tap. Time to go. They'd practiced this. No words, no noise. 23 people stepping into darkness like ghosts. Old Moses led them into the swamp. He was 70 if he was a day, born in these marshes, knew them like his own hands. Solomon carried Margaret on his shoulders, Samuel holding his hand. Grace had a bundle of food and clothes. Big Mary had another child on her back. They moved single file, stepping where Moses stepped, trusting him to find solid ground in the darkness. Behind them, the party continued. Music, shouting, the clink of glasses. They'd be an hour gone before anyone checked the quarters. Another hour before Whitmore sobered up enough to understand. Maybe 2 hours before they organized a chase. That was the plan. They got 40 minutes. Henry Briggs hadn't been drinking. He'd been watching. Something felt wrong all evening. Too quiet in the quarters. Too still. At 9:40 he walked down to check. Found empty cabins. Understood immediately. He didn't alert everyone. Didn't waste time gathering a drunk mob. Just grabbed 3 men he trusted, men who stayed sober, men who could shoot. They mounted horses, took rifles and torches, and rode hard. They caught up 5 miles out, deep in the cypress swamp. Torches cutting through darkness. Horses splashing through shallow water. Stop! Briggs's voice cracked like a whip. Stop right now or we shoot. The group froze. 23 people clustered together. Children crying, old folks breathing hard. Solomon stood at the front, 7 feet 7 inches of shadow against dark water. Briggs rode closer, rifle pointed. His 3 men fanned out, guns ready. Well, thought you could run, Sol? Thought you were smart? He laughed, cold. Get on your knees, all of you, on your goddamn knees. Nobody moved. Briggs aimed his rifle at Grace. I'll kill her first, Sol. Then your boy. Then every single one of them until you're on your knees where you belong. Solomon's voice came out quiet, deep. No. What? I said no. Solomon took 1 step forward. Water splashed. You ain't shooting nobody. Briggs steadied his rifle. You think I won't? You think I'm scared of you? Another step. Solomon's eyes reflected torchlight. I think you should be. Stop moving. Briggs's finger twitched on the trigger. I will shoot you. Solomon didn't stop, didn't run, just walked. 1 step, another. Steady as sunrise, inevitable as tide coming in. His hands hung loose at his sides. No weapon, didn't need one. Briggs fired. The shot went wide in the darkness, panic making his hands shake. He tried to reload, fingers fumbling with powder and ball. His men fired too, 2 shots cracking through the night. 1 bullet caught Solomon's left shoulder. Blood bloomed dark on his shirt. He didn't slow down. Shoot him, Briggs screamed. Shoot the... Solomon reached the horse. Briggs was mounted, rifle half reloaded. For 1 second, they were eye to eye. Solomon standing in water, Briggs on horseback, and they looked at each other like equals. Then Solomon grabbed the horse's bridle with 1 hand and pulled. The horse screamed, reared. Briggs fell backwards, hit the water hard. His rifle splashed away. One of the men, Jackson, Whitmore's assistant overseer, spurred his horse forward, swinging his rifle like a club. Solomon caught it mid-swing. Yanked. Jackson flew off his mount, hit a cypress tree with a crack that echoed. He didn't get up. The second man, Porter, aimed his pistol point blank at Solomon's chest. "Don't." Solomon's hand closed around Porter's wrist. Squeezed. Bones crunched like dry sticks. Porter's scream cut short when Solomon's other hand found his throat. The third man, young kid named Davis, maybe 19, turned his horse and ran. Smart boy. Solomon let him go. That left Briggs. He was crawling backward through the water, hand reaching for a knife at his belt. You can't. They'll hang you for this." Solomon picked him up with one hand, lifted him clean out of the water. Briggs' feet kicked at air. Solomon's face showed nothing. No rage, no joy, just cold purpose. "Listen careful," Solomon said, voice soft, almost gentle. "You go back. You tell Whitmore. Tell him Solomon Matthews is done. Tell him I walked away and I'm taking my family, and anyone tries to stop us gonna end up like your friends here." He gestured at Jackson's body, at Porter floating face down in dark water. You killed. I protected mine." Solomon walked to a thick cypress, holding Briggs like a child holds a doll. "Now I'm gonna make sure you remember. Make sure whoever sees you remembers." What happened next took 15 seconds. When Solomon dropped Briggs back in the water, both the man's legs were broken. Not cut, not shot, just broken. Shattered at unnatural angles. Briggs shrieked, high and thin. "You can crawl back," Solomon said. "Tell your story. Show them what happens." He turned away. Grace stood with their children, eyes wide. The other 20 people watched in silence. Old Moses finally spoke. "We need to move. That boy Davis gonna bring more." "No." Big Mary stepped forward. "He gonna tell them what he saw. Nobody gonna want to chase us after that." She was right. Davis rode back to Whitmore's plantation at full gallop, crashed through the party screaming about the giant, about death in the swamp, about monsters that don't die when you shoot them. By the time they organized, sober men, good horses, hunting dogs, Solomon's group was 10 miles gone, moving fast now, fear replaced by something else. Hope. They traveled 12 days. Solomon carried weight nobody else could. Supplies, children, injured folks. His shoulder wound festered, but he didn't slow. Grace cleaned it every night with herbs old Moses knew. It hurt like hell. Solomon never complained. His height became an advantage in the swamps. He could see over tall grass, spot patrols before they got close. Could wade through deep water while carrying others above the surface. Could reach tree branches to pull the group across difficult spots. At night, while others slept, Grace would sit with him. "How you feeling?" "Alive. You killed those men, Saul." "I know. Does it bother you?" Solomon was quiet a long time, staring at his massive hands. "My whole life, people scared of me 'cause of how I look. Called me monster, called me devil. I tried to be gentle, Grace. Tried to be small. And they still took Ruth." His voice cracked. "Being gentle didn't save her, so I stopped being gentle. You think Ruth would want—" "Ruth is gone." The words came out harsh, softer. "Ruth is gone. But Samuel's here. Margaret's here. You're here. And I'll kill 100 men before I let them take you too." Grace took his hand, so small in his. "You ain't a monster, Solomon. Monsters kill for pleasure. You did what you had to. That's different." "Is it?" "Has to be. Otherwise, what are we?" They made it to Savannah on July 29th. The Quaker woman from the fair, her name was Rebecca Thornton, met them at a warehouse near the port. 23 people, exhausted and terrified. She took one look at Solomon's infected shoulder and immediately sent for a doctor. "You're famous, you know," Rebecca said while they waited. "The giant of South Carolina. There's a bounty, $2,000. Solomon laughed, bitter. "I'm flattered. Most won't try for it." Word spread fast about what happened in that swamp. "They're saying you can't be killed, that bullets bounce off you, that you tore men apart with your bare hands. I ain't invincible, just desperate. Desperation makes men more dangerous than invincibility ever could." She handed him bread, cheese. "We have a route to Philadelphia. Ship leaves in 3 days. It's tight quarters, but we'll fit. Thank you." The ship, a merchant vessel with a sympathetic captain, was cramped and dark. Solomon couldn't stand straight in the cargo hold. For 3 days he stayed bent, spine curved again, making himself smaller. But this time it was his choice. Temporary. Strategic. When they reached Philadelphia on August 6th, Pennsylvania Anti-Slavery Society members met them at the docks. 22 people. Little Thomas had died of fever during the sea voyage, and they'd buried him at sea. The survivors were free. Actually, legally free. Standing on northern soil with papers to prove it. Solomon straightened his spine, stood tall, breathed air that tasted different. A society member named William Still documented their arrival. Name: Solomon Matthews. Age: 28. Height: Still looked up, 7'7". Still wrote it down, then paused. There are stories about you, Mr. Matthews, about what you did to get here. I did what needed doing. Some call you a murderer. Solomon met his eyes. Some called me property. I care more about the second opinion than the first. Still smiled. Fair enough. Welcome to Philadelphia. Solomon found work as a blacksmith. His size and strength made him valuable. He earned money, rented a small house. Grace took in sewing. Samuel started school, actual school, learning to read and write. Margaret grew up never knowing what it meant to be property. But Solomon never forgot Ruth. He wrote letters to anti-slavery societies, to Underground Railroad contacts, asking about an 8-year-old girl sold to Mississippi in March 1853. He offered money, every cent he could spare. Nothing came back. Mississippi was a black hole. Children disappeared there like stars into darkness. Grace found him one night holding Ruth's dress, the only thing of hers they'd managed to grab during the escape. He was crying, silent tears running down his face. His massive shoulders shook. She might be alive, Grace said. She might have. She'd be 13 now, if she's alive. His voice was broken. 13 years old, and I don't know where. Don't know if she's hurting. Don't know if she remembers me. She remembers. Babies always remember their daddies. Solomon clutched the dress. I killed men for you and Samuel and Margaret. Would have killed 100 more. But I couldn't save Ruth. What kind of father? The kind that saved 21 other people. The kind that gave them freedom. Grace knelt beside him. You can't save everyone's soul. God knows you tried. Wasn't enough. It was everything. Years passed. Solomon's legend grew in the South. Ghost stories about a giant who killed overseers with his bare hands, who couldn't be stopped by bullets, who walked through swamps like Moses through the Red Sea. Some of it was true. Most was myth. Solomon didn't correct anyone. Let them think he was a monster. Maybe it would make the next overseer think twice before chasing runaways. In 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, Solomon was 38. He stood in the street reading the news, tears streaming. Samuel, 16 now and tall himself, 6'4", stood beside him. What you thinking, Pa? Thinking about all the people still in chains. Thinking about Ruth. You did your part. You saved us. Solomon looked at his son. I spent 13 years making myself small so white men wouldn't be scared. Then I spent one night being exactly who I was. That's all it took. One night of not apologizing for existing. When he put his hand on Samuel's shoulder. Don't ever make yourself small, boy. Not for nobody. Yes, sir. Solomon lived until 1889. He was 64, ancient for a man his size, body worn down by years of hard labor and old wounds. The shoulder injury never fully healed. Some nights it ached like remembering. Grace died 2 years before him. Samuel became a teacher. Margaret married a doctor. Solomon had grandchildren, 7 of them, and he told them stories about the old days. Not the violence, not the death. He told them about standing up, about walking tall, about choosing freedom even when the cost was blood. When Solomon died on a cold November morning, 300 people came to his funeral. Black and white. People whose parents he'd helped escape. People who knew him as the gentle blacksmith who fixed their tools and never raised his voice. His coffin was 7 feet 9 inches long. Took 6 men to carry it. On the gravestone they put, Solomon Matthews. He walked tall. But Grace would have added something else if she'd been alive to choose the words. He walked tall so others could walk free. In 1953, exactly 100 years after Solomon's escape, a historian in Mississippi found records of a woman named Ruth Matthews who died in 1891. She'd been a teacher, had married, had children of her own. In her obituary it mentioned she was born in South Carolina, daughter of an enslaved man known as Big Saul. She'd survived. She'd lived. She'd been free. Solomon never knew. But somewhere, maybe he felt it. Maybe freedom recognizes freedom across time and distance. Maybe fathers and daughters stay connected even when torn apart. Or maybe that's just what we tell ourselves so the story hurts less. Either way, Ruth walked tall too, because her daddy showed her how.